And today's session is going to be all about just touching base with you as new foundation stage parents to just give you a few details about how you can prepare for September or the start of a new academic year. And equally to give you an opportunity to ask any questions that might be on your mind at the moment. It doesn't matter how silly you might feel or how simple a question might be. Now is a good time to ask so we can put your mind at ease and you can prepare for September in a really smooth and clear way. Okay, so I'm going to speak with you very quickly about the school vision, and I'm going to hand you over to our foundation stage experts who will talk to you more about how to prepare for the new academic year. Could you share the slides, please, Rebecca? Okay, so first of all, welcome and thank you for joining us today. So as I said just a minute ago, my name is Ben Cooper. I'm the primary principal here at James Wellington Academy Arkell. My email is there as well if you want to reach out to me. I'd be happy to hear from you if you have any questions. I just wanted to welcome you to the Academy really and just give you a very, very brief bit of information about what we are about here at the Academy. Most of you will have already visited and have information about, you know, and seen our facilities and we will have talked about our curriculum. But in terms of what we want for all of our students, both in the foundation stage and across the whole of the school, we have our three core pillars. And one of those is the science of learning. And basically it is our commitment that your children will receive the very best world-class teaching experience from our professionals in school. All of our teachers are trained in what's referred to as the science of learning, which is basically all the research that is out there on how students learn and how we can really make sure that all our students learn as successfully as possible. And that's about making sure that our students are happy and enjoying their time at the Academy and really making sure that we know just how our students learn best. Our second pillar is all about social enterprise. And we don't want all our children to be businessmen and women in the future, but we want them to be creative. We want them to think about ideas that they believe in. We want them to be articulate. We want them to work in teams and be team leaders. And we want them to be really conscious of the people around them. And that's why we refer to social enterprise, to really embody all of those skills. We want them to leave the Academy believing that they can make a difference to the world and make sure that it's a positive difference that they're working towards. And then the final aspect of the Academy vision is student agency and innovation. We want children to take ownership of their learning. And of course, in the foundation stage, that is exceptionally important. In a play-based environment, the children know exactly what it is that they want to do, what they want to learn about, and they know how to achieve that. And so we feel that by combining these three things together, fantastic teaching, a great kind of skill set, and also ownership of their own learning and aspirations, that we will have children that finish with us ready for the world ahead of them. And so that's really what our aspirations are for all our students, and foundation stage is that starting point on that journey. And we're very excited to welcome you all as families to our community in the not so distant. So that's all from me. I'm going to leave you with our foundation stage experts in Miss Rebecca Howells and Miss Paula Finn, who'll talk to you about some more specific things to do with preparing for the foundation stage.
So thank you, Mr. Cooper. My name is Paula Finn and I am the Primary Vice Principal here at James Wellington Academy. I've been here since the Academy opened back in 2013, and I am very pleased to tell you that I have actually been an FS1 teacher at the Academy. I've been FS1 leader, I've been head of FS, assistant principal, so I've basically done most of the jobs in this school. But I know exactly what it's like to teach in the FS1 classrooms, and I know what your children are going to experience because I did it for a very long time in this school. So as I said, my name's Paula Finn. We also have Rebecca Howells, just in time, got back in time, who is our primary assistant principal. Rebecca comes with an absolute plethora of experience in the early years. You will not find a person more passionate about early years education than Rebecca. She still blows my mind every day about the knowledge that she has around early years. So your children are in very safe hands in terms of the leadership and their experience of teaching children at this age. So today's session is mainly to get you prepared for September. There's lots of information that we could give you about the curriculum. You know, we used to do presentations at this time of year around, you know, what are your children exactly going to be learning in terms of communication and language and literacy and mathematics and things. But we generally found that at this point in the year, FS1 parents don't want to know about that. They really just want to know, what do I need to do to get prepared to hand over the most precious thing in my whole life to you in September. So really the point of this webinar today is to give you the key information that you need to get started in school. And I think what you'll find at the end of this presentation is that really we are all about well-being at the beginning of the year and throughout the rest of the year, but particularly at the beginning of the year, we want to make sure that your child settles as quickly as possible, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that happens. So there will be later opportunities to meet the class teachers. So right at the beginning of the year, either just before we begin or once the children have been in for a few days, there will be a presentation with the class teacher where you can ask questions that are very pertinent to your child's own class, such as timetabling, etc. You will also have a meeting with the teacher in week 3 to find out how your child has settled in. What do they like to play with in the classroom? Who do they play with? Do they communicate with the adults? All of these types of things. So please don't worry about that. You'll get that later. There might be some information which you hear today, which might be duplicated in the class teacher's presentation, but we would rather you felt really prepared just now ahead of September. If you have any questions throughout the session, please pop them in the chat. We've got a question session at the very end, and we'll get through all of those questions. Even if the questions don't relate to what we're talking about, we'd rather you just get everything answered and that you feel really happy and prepared ahead of September. Okay, so Rebecca, if you could change the slide, thank you. So the school timings are quite different in the first 2 weeks of school. The reason for that is that when children come to a new setting, even if they've been to nursery before or other childcare, when children come to a new setting, it can be very daunting for them, even if your child is the most confident child in his or her current nursery. Once one child gets upset, the others can become very upset, and that sort of snowballs across the children. So what we do is we split the class into 2 groups so that we have smaller groups of children coming in for the first 2 weeks in FS1. So one group will come in for 2 hours and then they will go home, and then the teacher resets the classroom and the other group will come in for 2 hours and then they will go home. One of the parents today, we had a stay and play session. We'll be doing more of those, which we'll tell you about at the end. But one of the parents was saying, you know, how do you manage 20 children on day 1? But basically that would be very difficult. And the reason that we do the staggered start is to give every single child more one-to-one attention with the adults in class. So in every class we have 1 teacher and 1 teaching assistant, and they will be with the children for the staggered start. Myself, Rebecca, will also be on hand. We have members of the inclusion team. We have other leaders in the school who are always available for those FS1 children in the first 2 weeks. We are very strict about keeping to those timings. So we don't offer extended care for any of the children in those first 2 weeks, because we want to make sure that by the end of those 2 weeks, every single child is really happy, confident and eager to come to school. So from week 3, we begin our normal school timings. So the normal school timings are 7:50 until 12:30, Mondays to Thursdays. And on Fridays, the children are in at 7:50 again, and all children finish at 12 o'clock on a Friday. The whole school finishes at 12 o'clock. We're not allowed to keep children after that timing. The children can arrive as early as 7:15 in the morning, so it gives a nice sort of 35-minute period for children to come in, get their bags unpacked, take out their water bottles and get settled into the day as the other children are arriving. But all children must be in school from 7:50, and that's when we would close the main doors. Any children that come after that time would be marked as late. On Mondays through to Thursdays, you do have the option of your child staying until 3 o'clock. So we offer two sort of pick-up times for those children. You can pick up at 1:30 or you can pick up at the end of the day at 3 o'clock. That is a completely free service and it's open to all children. We send out forms at the beginning of the year, so round about week 2 in preparation for the extended care in week 3. We would send out a form asking you if you want to participate in that for your child. You know, do you want your child to nap? If so, how long do you want them to nap for? No more than 45 minutes, so it doesn't affect their bedtime routine. You would send in a snack for that time as well. So we can talk you through all of that once your child has started, but there's no sort of limitations on space for the extended care, and it's open to all children until 3 o'clock. So I'm just going to hand over to Rebecca, who's going to tell you about what will happen on the first day.
Thank you, Paula. So for all of our children who are starting in foundation stage, we want the first day and the first few days to be a really happy and positive experience. So you'll arrive to our foundation stage entrance on your first day and you'll probably be greeted by myself and Paula, and we'll walk you around to help you find your new classroom. Parents are invited to come to the classroom door, and actually parents can drop off and pick up to classroom doors every day so that you can have that open and ongoing communication with your class teacher. So you'll drop your child at the classroom door and then you'll do nice, happy, jolly goodbyes, and then we really do recommend that parents go. Now, when we say go, we just mean out of sight of the children. So you're more than welcome to drop your child off on the first day, and then you can come to our parent waiting area where Paula and I will probably be ferrying backwards and forwards, telling you how they're getting on. But we do find from our experience that some children will get quite upset at that dropping off point, and we just ask that you trust us as the professionals to help your child come into the classroom. We'll encourage them to get involved with the classroom activities, and usually in our experience, sort of within 5 to 10 minutes, the children do settle. Now, if you're waiting in the parent waiting area, someone will come and let you know they're fine now, they've settled, they've stopped crying, and then you might choose to go, and then you can come back when the 2-hour session has finished. You're more than welcome to wait in the parent waiting area for the duration of the 2-hour session if you feel that on that first day you just want to be there in case your child does get upset. But because we want it to be that really positive experience, if your child doesn't settle and we find that they are still really, really upset, then we may say to you, look, we've given it 20 minutes, we've given it 25 minutes, half an hour, they're not settling back down. Do you want to come and collect them for today? And then we try again tomorrow. And that isn't our way of saying, you know, we don't want them here. Children sometimes just need to learn that parents are going to go and then parents are going to come back. And once they've experienced that for a few days, they'll then start to come into the classroom much happier. So please don't worry if your child does cry on the first day. We'll get them into the classroom, we'll try and distract them with the activities, and then we'll let you know how they're getting on with settling. In the same way, some children will come in happy and smiling for the first couple of days, and then when they realise that they've got to come to school every day, then they'll start to cry. And again, don't worry, we're really skilled at supporting that. It's sort of me just saying to you that sometimes we will take the children in and then sort of say, just go. We don't mean get out the building, we just mean pop out of sight, so that the children can be distracted in the classroom, and then we'll let you know how they're getting on. we are really flexible to how the children are responding to starting school and sort of to your situation as a family. So although our sessions from week 3 will run to 12:30, if your child needs to do a shorter day for the first few weeks, even for the first half term, we will cater to the child's needs. So we're not pushing anybody to be in school until 12:30 until they are ready. And we will work with you as a family to work out what's best for your child. Some tips that I've got in terms of that first day, the children will have their own cubby in the classroom, and sometimes I say to parents, if you want to send in a couple of family photos, we can stick them up in the child's cubby so that if they do need to be reminded of their grown-ups, they can go and have a look at those. And sometimes just being able to talk about their grown-ups and see that picture really helps children to settle. And although we do ask that children don't bring toys into school to play with, just because we're always worried about something getting lost or broken, when children are new to school, sometimes just a familiar object in their school bag helps. They can just, if it's a favourite teddy, they can just go get it out, have a little cuddle, pop it away, and sort of it's just bridging that link between home and school. So if your child does have something that they just want to pop in their school bag to help them as well, then that's absolutely fine. So really, we just want it to be the happiest and most settled start that that we can make it, so that the children learn to trust us as new faces really quickly, and then we can start looking at curriculum coverage. So just want to run you through what you'll need in terms of uniform. So here I've got pictures of our foundation stage children in their school clothes and then also their PE kit. So girls can have the blue polo and the skirts, or they can choose to wear the summer dresses. We do ask for navy, black or white socks only, and black school shoes. And we do ask for Velcro fastening unless children can tie laces. Some parents say to me, oh, I've already bought shoes with laces and the children can't tie them. That's absolutely fine. You can take the laces out and you can put elastic in, so this shoe just becomes a slip-on. And then on PE days, and in the first week, you'll find out which days your child will have PE. The children will come in their PE kit. They come to school wearing their PE kit. You'll be told which colour PE kit you need to get, the colour of the shoulder. It depends on the house that your child's in. And you'll be given that information before you go and get the PE uniform. And then we do ask for white socks and white sneakers. Again, Velcro fastening, please, if your child can't tie laces for PE days. For FS2 children who will swim, we also have a Wellington swimming costume or swim shorts that the children can purchase, or you can just go for plain navy or plain black swimming gear. And in terms of school bags, it is a Wellington school bag, please. We don't allow brightly coloured backpacks or character backpacks, and no wheelie suitcases, please. All of our uniform is sold by threads. Particularly for FS1 children, but also for children in FS2 also, we will ask that you send spare clothes into school. Now, we ask that in case children have a toileting accident and need to be changed, but also it might just be if someone spills their dinner down them, if somebody gets really wet when they're playing in one of the sensory trays, or sometimes children get covered in paint. For uniform, for spare clothes, we ask that it is either school uniform or it is a plain black or navy t-shirt and plain black or navy shorts or leggings. And the reason that we ask that is we've just found that sometimes if spare clothes are a Spider-Man t-shirt, children get water down them so that they can change into their Spider-Man t-shirt. So we just ask for their spare clothes to be kept as plain, and children will keep spare clothes in their cubby at school unless they're needed to change in the classroom. So we don't send those home every day. We'll keep a stock in school. I'm going to hand over to Paula, who will speak to you about lunches.
So the children can either bring their own snacks and lunches into school, or you can order these through a company, catering company, which is called Slices. Slices are based in the school. They can prepare both hot food and cold food. They have a website that you can order food on, and you can pay for it online. It's not very expensive at all. I think a meal might cost around sort of 15, 20 dirhams maximum. And you can order online, and that will be delivered to the classroom just before snack time and just before lunchtime. If your child brings food to school, we're not allowed to heat it up in school. However, a lot of parents will send in the sort of vacuum flasks if their child would like hot food that's provided from home. We have snack in the morning, and then we have a lunch in the afternoon. FS1 children and FS2 children that stay for the extended care will also have a little snack in the afternoon. So you'll be asked to provide that if you sign up for that additional service. We have something called Treat Tuesday. So we don't like to tell the children that there are good foods and bad foods. We prefer to tell them that there are foods that are very good for our body, and there are foods that we sometimes eat as a treat, which don't provide as much nutrition as other foods. But a lot of these foods, as we all know, are very delicious, and quite often we share these foods during celebrations, things like cake, etc. So to kind of keep a healthy mindset around food, we teach the children that on Tuesdays, we invite them to bring a treat to school if they would like to do so. That would just be one treat, not a whole lunchbox of treats. So they would maybe have something like sandwiches, and they might have some cookies that day on the side. So just one treat for them on a Tuesday. And that way we feel that it sort of helps children develop an understanding of eating a balanced diet. We do have a nut-free and a pork-free policy, which we have to sort of strictly abide by. We do have children across the school who suffer from quite severe nut allergies. So please don't provide anything that has nuts in it, including Nutella spread, which I think some parents are surprised to find out has quite a lot of hazelnuts in it. So please don't provide anything that has nuts in your child's lunchbox. If your child does have any allergies, we have already sent out the medical forms and things to children that have enrolled. Please make sure that you fill those in. That's very important. That information will go to the school clinic, and the teachers will be informed of those allergies. I would also, if you're a parent of a child with allergies, please just make sure that the teacher has received that information at the beginning of the year. We ask that children are sort of have experiences at home to get used to their lunch boxes, get used to the little sort of snack boxes and things that they might bring to school, water bottles, etc. It's good for you to let them have a go, so that when they're in a busy classroom, yes, there will be adults on hand to open their lunch boxes, but we really want them to develop that independence, so they're not waiting around maybe for 3 children to be helped before they're helped to open their lunchbox. So please try to make sure that the lunch boxes are accessible. You know, they can take the lids off, they can do the latch themselves. Some of the lunch boxes that we've seen are quite complicated, and sometimes the adults can't get them back together, never mind the children. So just have a little test run before the children bring them to school. Make sure that all of the individual boxes that children have in their lunch bags are labelled, because children will put things in other children's cubby holes sometimes. They might leave them on the side, and even if you go around and ask every single child, is this your lunch box, they might not know that it is. So please label everything that your child brings into school. The next thing is just about water bottles. I think we've just got a visual here. The best water bottles to buy are the ones that have got a sort of straw function, or a little nozzle or something at the top. While the water bottle on the right, they are very popular. I think I've got one of these actually at home. But if an FS1 or an FS2 child drops that kind of water bottle, the water spills everywhere. We've got to get cleaners in to come and clean up the classroom. We've got to go and find new water from the water coolers and things. So if you could provide one of the water bottles that you see on the left. We strictly don't allow any glass water bottles for obvious reasons, as they might break in class. So one thing that a lot of parents ask about is the bus service. So the STS it stands for School Transport Service. It's an external provider. They are based in, I think, every school in Dubai. So they have an office and a reception, but they are a separate company from the school. So any queries that you have around the bus service, around bus routes and things, you will have to contact the School Transport Service directly. So the email address that you see at the bottom is the STS manager who works in our school. You'll be able to contact him to find out everything that you need to find out about FS1 and FS2 buses. We do have available buses coming in the morning, so they drop off around about 7:30. If FS1 children use the bus, they would have to wait until FS2 children finish the school day. So they would stay in extended care for 1 hour until the FS2 children finish at 1:30, and that's when the buses leave with those FS children. Alternatively, if your child is in FS extended care until the end of the day, so 3 o'clock, they can leave on the buses which take home all of the primary children and secondary children which leave the school just after 3 o'clock. If you're planning to use the bus, please don't wait until September to reach out to STS. It's really important that you do that now. If you don't do it until September, you run the risk of them not putting on a bus service for your area or not including them in the bus route. And once the bus services and routes are sort of set and up and running, it's quite hard to get them changed. So please be proactive and contact STS now. We have a sort of adult to adult handover when we use the bus for FS children. So all of the buses have a bus driver and they also have a bus guardian. And the bus guardian escorts the children to the classroom, and they've got to, you know, physically sort of speak to the class teacher so that the class teacher is aware that those children have arrived in class. And then the same at the end of the day, the teaching assistant would take the children along to the bus and hand them over to the bus guardian, and they would physically scan their bus pass to make sure that they were on the bus safely. Again, the bus guardians would be checking that all of the children have their seat belts fastened, that they all remain seated during the bus journey as well.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about a question that I'm asked lots when I'm speaking to parents who are starting school. What does your child need to be able to do prior to starting here at Wellington Academy? And the answer is we don't need you to teach them anything. One thing that you can do to really help us out before your child starts school is to make sure that everything that they are bringing in is labelled, including all of their school uniform and even school shoes. You know, we've had occasions where children have taken their shoes off, maybe to use the soft play, maybe for a sensory experience, and then we've got 2 children with the exact same size feet and very similar shoes, and somebody puts somebody else's shoes on to go home. And so if you can just make sure that everything is labelled, that will really help out your class teacher. Things that you might want to practice with your child prior to starting school are things like just packing their bag, just practicing unzipping and zipping their bag up. You might want to practice just them putting their lunchbox and their water bottle inside of their bag so that they know what those look like. So they're just starting to get that independence of looking after their own belongings. Paula mentioned this, but I always really recommend to parents that you buy your lunchbox for your child this side of the summer break, and you could spend some time just letting your child practice opening lunch boxes, actually eating out of the compartments in their lunchbox, because they're very different to dinner plates. Get them practicing with using a fork or using a spoon, and also closing lunch boxes as well. Of course, we will help, but it's just to give your child the confidence and independence. Also, we do ask that children who join us are toilet trained. So children will need to start school wearing proper underwear, and it's a really good time to start getting your child to practice cleaning themselves if they're not used to doing that already. Your class teacher will ensure that you've signed our toileting policy before you start, that says that children need to be able to use the toilet. We say independently. Of course, we will always help younger children if they need it, but it is in a role of, we'll try and talk the children through what they need to do. We will help where needed, but we are encouraging the children to do that for themselves. So again, if that's something new for your child, you might want to start practicing that now. And then I also would encourage children who aren't used to I say being left, that sounds awful, but used to separating from parents. You've got a few weeks now where it's useful to maybe just find family members where you can just leave your child for small amounts of time, so they get used to parents are going to leave, but parents are going to come back, or just arranging play dates where children can go to somebody else's house or meet at the park. One set of parents might just step away for 20 minutes, just so that's not brand new for the children on their first day of school. If you are able to get your uniform this side of the summer break, I also always recommend to parents that children just spend some time in that uniform prior to their first day. It's not saying that they've got to put it on themselves, because they won't actually need to get dressed or undressed at school by themselves, but actually just so they're used to that feeling of being in their school uniform. Sometimes those clothes can feel quite different, and that can really throw a child on their first day if that's the first time that they're putting them on. I was saying to parents as well, start what that routine is going to look like. So if your routine for school morning is going to be up, breakfast, uniform on, brush teeth, start practicing that in the summer break so that children get used to that, and even have a mock drive to school so that the children can see what the routine is going to look like, so that's really familiar prior to your first day. So don't need the children to sort of do anything academically, but they're just some tips of things that you can do so some routines feel more familiar before your child starts with us. So before that, the children's first day at school, there are just some things that we need to make sure that we've done. So if we haven't already met your child for a play-based assessment, please do get that booked in as soon as possible. And the reason that we do that is so that when we're allocating children to a class, we're allocating a child that we've met and that we know information about, and we'll even take a photo of your child so we've got their face in our mind. We're not just placing a name and a date of birth. So the play-based assessment is nothing to be afraid of. It's not a pass or a fail. It's just so that we are able to think about the children that we're placing, and we're not just placing names. We are running some stay and play sessions for children that have enrolled. We had one for FS1 today, which was just lovely. And we've got another one for FS1 parents if they couldn't make it today, next Thursday. And then anybody who's joining in FS2, you can sign up for the 9th of June or the 16th of June. We can include the play-based assessment within that stay and play session, and the children get to spend some time in one of our classrooms. They get to meet some of our teaching staff that they'll be with in the new year, and they also get to see some of the children that will be starting with them. So if you haven't already signed up for those, please do, because it's a really nice way for your child to have a nice positive experience in FS this side of the summer break. Once we have allocated classes and teachers and you get that information, we'll share some recordings of the class teacher reading some stories. So do share those with your children over the summer break. And we will also send out to you an All About Me booklet that you can fill out with your child. Now, that can be something, a project that you do over the summer break. You can include photos, your child's artwork, and then we will share those as part of our first few weeks in school. That's FS1 and FS2. And also they're really useful if children do just need a little reminder of home. We can use those booklets then as well. If anything on there you're thinking, oh my goodness me, I haven't done that and I don't know what that is, do not worry, you can just email to school and we'll tell you the information that you need about those.
So some other things that we just need before your child starts. You would have received what's called the Academy Parents Guide from the registration team when you enrolled your child. There's a part in the Academy Guide which does say that we assume that we will have your permission to take photographs and record videos of the children. A lot of those videos are shared with yourself in terms of our Seesaw posts, which we put on so that you can see what their learning is like in the classroom. We also have photographs that are taken throughout the day to celebrate your child's learning. If you do not give your permission for your child to be photographed or videoed while they are in school, there is a form that you can get from the PRE. Her name is Jacqueline, and we'll provide her email address. In fact, it's actually in the Academy Parents Guide as well. So if you don't give your permission for photographs, you can reach out to get that form. We also have a toileting policy, which you would have received as part of your enrolment. We need to make sure that that's signed by all parents. We were saying to some of the FS1 parents today, we do understand that when children come to a different setting, they might regress with their toileting, but we need to make sure that every child is used to using the toilet, and there's definitely no nappies or diapers coming into school. Also, make sure that you have filled out the medical information forms. As I said earlier, they will go to the clinic, and it's really important that the teachers know all of your child's medical needs, including allergies. So we had some questions in the chat. I think we've answered most of those now. We'll just have a check. So we had a question about backpacks. So we've got smaller backpacks which are available, which you can get from Slices, which are best for FS1. We also have book bags, which we're going to try to encourage parents to buy next year. The book bag is just a little handheld, a bit like a little satchel, where we can put the child's library books and things in there, and it keeps them separate from things like lunches being in the main school bag. We had a question about buses. Someone's checking if they can contact STS in July. Yes, that's absolutely fine, and that won't be too late. We had a question about swimming in FS1. There will be swimming in term 3 for FS1. They do a block of swimming for around about 6 weeks. So they would go down to the pool once a week instead of their PE lesson. But please hold off on buying the Wellington swimming costume, because your child will obviously grow between now and term 3. And I think that might be all the questions. So another question about who will be the main person for communication. That will be your class teacher. So when you get your class allocation email, we'll be allocating classes before the summer break. So you will receive your class teacher's email, you'll receive the story reading video, and you'll be able to contact them going forward. We also have members of the Academy leadership team who are working over the summer. So if you get any queries, we will give you our details so that you can have them answered over the summer break. And shall FS1 students use school bags, or can they bring in any bag in the beginning? So we prefer that every child has the Wellington school bags. In fact, for this academic year, we're insisting on it for every child across the school that they have the Wellington bag. And I think that's all of the questions. Can I just say apologies, I've got my FS1 hat on today because we were doing the FS1 event. So I actually missed out at the beginning when we went through the timings. The staggered start period for FS2 is also 2 weeks. The children are not just in for 2 hours in FS2, they're in from first thing in the morning, so 7:50 until 12:30 in the day. So they have 1 hour less just to give them that sort of stagger at the beginning of the year. Again, with FS2, for the staggered start, we don't have the extended care for the first 2 weeks. Again, it's just to make sure that all the children are settled and happy. And going into week 3, we know that every child is settled in the classroom. Again, with the FS2 timings, so when we move to week 3, the children are in from 7:50 in the morning until 1:30 in FS2. And again, on a Friday, all students finish at 12 o'clock. Monday to Thursday, we also offer extended care in FS2 until 3 o'clock. Sorry for not mentioning that earlier on. I was just thinking about FS1. So if anyone else has got any other questions, feel free to pop them into the chat, or you can pop your microphone on, whatever you're comfortable with. So we'll hang about for probably another few minutes, but if everyone is quite happy,